Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course, and we are pleased to be joined by the crew chief of the number 48 Ally Financial Chevrolet, Greg Ives. Of course, you know, Alex Bowman drives number 48 as well and picked up the big win at Dover. And of course, we all know about what Hendrick Motorsports did 1, 2, 3, and 4. How's it going, Greg?
Yeah, it's going good today. A lot of work getting done. Because it doesn't, winning and running well doesn't come easy. So a lot of work going into these race cars every week. Have to thank everybody at Hendrick Motorsports for putting their best effort forward.
All right. So before I get to COTA, I got to ask you about, the season that you guys are on. 2 wins so far. And then after the 1, 2, 3, 4 dominant performance you got by the whole company, how much momentum does the 48 team have right now?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of momentum for sure. But you're only as good as your next race. So we're looking forward to going into COTA, with the momentum we have, but also know that we got to come out of there with a good finish and continue on that momentum because the summer's coming. A lot of racetracks, a lot of practice, getting back to practice, a little bit in qualifying at the 600 coming up. So a lot of different things coming at us. We got to learn how to adapt and get back to riding bike, right? So yeah. So we're looking forward to getting going and riding the momentum and the confidence that we have for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So coming up this weekend at COTA, I've talked to several drivers. I talked to a spotter. Now I'm talking to crew chief. So for you, I know that you guys are getting practice for the first time since the Bristol Dirt Race, just one 50-minute session. Do you think that's enough for a brand new track, or do you think you might need some more time?
I'm just thankful to get any time, honestly. In this day and age that we complain about things, I'm just gonna do whatever it takes to manage that 50 minutes as best as possible. You always love track time. We're racers. We're gonna want to be on racetrack, but getting 50 minutes is going to be it's only going to be a couple runs because it has such a long lap time, and so you better be either close or know how to adjust quickly on the fly. So I think a lot of it's trying to get the drivers to get comfortable with the track more than it is that they worry about whether or not we get the setup right. So as you mentioned, cautions and how long that lap is, only getting a couple corners here and there, and then having to slow down your pace is definitely going to be difficult. But we rather do that in practice than have everybody figure out that in the race for sure.
Yeah, of course. So I know that COTA is a brand new place. No one has ever been there. It's its own beast, as many people would say. What has been the preparation? What's the biggest thing that you've talked about with Alex about what he has to do to get around a track like that?
Yeah, I mean, Alex has such a great support group around him with Josh Wise and myself and everybody. The access to whether it's DIL time, running on iRacing, whether it's studying YouTube videos or those type of things, leaning on our teammates. Chase Elliott tested there, so looking at data from that and video, just trying to utilize everything. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, no matter what the preparation is, it's going to come down to talent. And I believe Alex is, even though he doesn't brag on himself about any type of driving ability, he's I feel like really good at road courses. So I'm looking forward to what he can do and see what happens in qualifying and the race on Sunday.
Okay, so we're gonna have was talking to Chris Lambert, who is another spotter. So they'll have about 3 spotters this weekend, and I think he mentioned about there could be a blind corner in there, I think around turn 20, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What's that going to be like, and how? I mean, obviously, road course racing, sometimes you may have blind corners like that. What's it going to be like for him to get around those? How do you?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult to even attack the racetrack without having issues like that. So it is 19, from 19 to 20. It's going to have some blind corners, and there's going to be some blind corners that may not be blind, you can see, but it's really hard to spot. So utilizing your mirrors, before spotters ever came along, before all that stuff, drivers drove. They know where they have. I used to drive as well, and I used to know where my car was, where the surroundings of, just the speed at which I either was passing somebody, or if I knew I messed up and got off the corner wrong. Your car better than probably the spotter in the stands anyways. So, I think it's going to be fine. And I'm not typically really worried about that. It's usually if you mess up and you try to make up for it in a way, whether you overdrive and get out of sorts, and then that's usually when you get yourself in trouble with another car.
Yeah. So I know I know many crew chiefs, of course, you were a driver yourself. How does that help you be a better crew chief, knowing that, hey, I was a driver at one point?
It does help for sure. All aspects, all experience helps become, I wouldn't say better at your job, but you also understand, what they're fighting, and why they could be fighting it, and how hard it is to train a driver, right? So, or I wouldn't say train a driver, make a driver change the way he does things instinctively. So that's the number one thing I take away, because when I drove the way I thought I knew how. And if somebody told me, hey, you need to try something different, and it didn't work for me, I was always going to rifle straight back to my natural ability, whether it's good or bad. And ultimately, I think that's where Alex and I have been able to connect on that level, where I'm not trying to fix the car based on SMT and what XYZ driver is doing. I'm trying to look at SMT to fix the condition of the car for his driving style. So I think that's probably the number one thing, because I knew as a driver, I couldn't change my inputs, or I may be too far along to change my inputs to make the car better. I needed somebody to help me make the car better, and allow me to be natural and utilize my talents, rather than think about how I was going to brake, gas, and steer.
Yeah. So when it comes to setup on a road course, I know that it's different from, going on a mile and a half, or going on a super speedway, or going on a short track. What makes road course setup cars different from everything else?
It's just the challenge of the unknown, right? You're never going to have any of the corners perfect, right? So the unknown is what corner is going to give you the most fits, and if we do fix that area, how is it just going to move? Are you just trying to push water around, like it's not, or mud, or however, whatever that saying is, but ultimately you're just trying to give you the best solid race car possible, and allow the driver to just drive it, and if you can do that without brakes fading, without power steering issues, without having the car so off balance in one corner and so great in another, then you're definitely going to have a good day. So like I said, it's tough to especially at a place like Coda, where you have such elevation change, heavy braking, high speed, a couple of high speed corners, a lot of low speed corners, minimum speeds down there. So there's a lot of open space that's very inviting, especially through the S's. But you can't go there, because you're going to rip the oil pan off with the turtles, or you're going to get yourself a penalty.
Yeah. How are the turtles going to play a factor in this race?
Ultimately, if we go back to like the either the Roval last year or Daytona this year, I can't remember which one now, but
It was the Daytona road course.
Yeah, it was at Daytona for us. We hit one of the turtles, and it kind of messed up the front end a little bit, bent the sway bar tube, and Alex wasn't trying to shortcut or do anything. He was just following a car, tried to keep some air on his nose, and he ran in hop the turtle. So it's one of those things where, you know, it just gets you out of shape. It can impact your car negatively. And, you know, ultimately, like I said, that space is very inviting. And you're like, it's probably not going to be too bad. And then it will be.
Okay, last thing for you. So coming in this weekend after a dominant weekend at Dover, what's it going to take to have a successful weekend at a place where you guys have never been to with Coda?
Yeah, I mean, I just think you know, having the attitude that you can overcome any obstacle, like and build confidence rather than question. And I feel like we can do that. I think between our spotter Kevin Hamlin, who's going to be there spotting all weekend long, to Alex and how hard he prepares, and you know, the talent he brings to the racetrack as far as you know, not getting over his head too far on road courses and making sure he stays where he needs to be. And then just our general knowledge of car chief, engineer, and all those guys doing their jobs, and trying not to get too fancy, too cute, and being there at the end.
All right. Greg Ives, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck this weekend at Coda.
I appreciate it, and I hopefully Coda is good to us.